Alright, Creative Con, let's talk about one of the most expensive mistakes in marketing, the disconnect between your ads and your funnel. Now, you can write the smartest copy, design the slickest creative, and even crush your click-through rate, but if the landing page, the product page, or the offer doesn't match the promise, you're leaving serious money on the table, and no doubt, bleeding performance. That's where our next speaker comes in. He's the head of growth at Replo, the no-code platform making it faster and easier to build high-converting landing pages, and of course, a proud Creative Con sponsor, helping make this entire event possible. Today, he's going to show you how to lock in funnel congruency, how to make every step after the click line up perfectly with the ad that got your customer there. So if you're ready to stop losing customers in the gaps, grab your notepads and let's give it up for Sanjay Jenkins. Take it away, Sanjay.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Sanjay Jenkins and I am the head of growth here at Replo, and I'm going to tell you about one of my favorite concepts, something that I think is going to help so many brands unlock a tremendous amount of scale with not a ton of work to do, but work that will be worth its weight in gold once you do it. And the topic that I'm going to talk about today is funnel congruency. It's aligning every single touch point in your business to maximize the impact of all of your marketing and growth efforts. Now, before we get into funnel congruency, I just want to tell you why I'm qualified to have this conversation with you at all. I've done every job in e-commerce, from running an agency to scaling a brand to 9 figures, everything from running ads myself, email marketing, making products, shipping it out, forklift certified. I've done every single job in e-commerce, and I intimately understand the pain that you might experience on a day-to-day basis, the bandwidth constraints that you might have, and the goals and the type of work that you are doing every single day, because I've lived through this my entire career. At my job as the head of growth at Replo, I look at hundreds of funnels, ad accounts, and email accounts every single week. I'm trying to figure out what layouts are working, what offers are working, what the fastest growing companies are doing, so that I can take that knowledge and bring it to the masses. And then the last thing is, I just have access to so much data. Our platform processes 100 billion plus click and conversion events every single month. That number is only growing. So we just have so much data that we're constantly analyzing to try to figure out what's working, what's not. And that's why I'm able to bring this message to you today. All right, so let's jump right into this. What the heck is funnel congruency? And why is it the key to consistent conversions? I'll tell you, quite simply, funnel congruency is matching your message across every point of your funnel, from the ad creative, whether it's... All right, let's get into this. What is funnel congruency, and why is it the key to consistent conversions? It's quite simple. It is matching your creative, whether it's an ad or an organic post, to the landing page that you're sending that traffic to, all the way through the pre and post purchase retention flows, email and SMS, and making sure that every stage of the funnel delivers a clear, consistent message to a very specific persona, to a specific cohort. You're mirroring offers, tone of voice, value prop that attracted the user in the first place. So when someone sees your thing and it resonates with them, you want to make sure that you're reinforcing that thing that resonated with them every step of the way. What you want to do is you really want to align the right content, the right audience, the right offer, the right persona at every single step of the way. And when you do all of these things together, your ability to scale increases and the velocity with which you scale increases. And one of the biggest things that I think whenever I have conversations with brands about this is it's not inherently obvious to a lot of folks, and that's a-okay. But what you're doing is you're just removing surprises and kind of messaging disconnects or kind of you might be creating confusion if you're not being conscious about making your funnel congruent at every step of the way. If an ad promises a certain offer or benefit, but then you send them to a page that doesn't have that offer or benefit, they're going to be a little confused. They're going to be thrown off. And your conversion rate is going to drop. It's not going to be as high as it could be because you have that mismatch. So funnel congruency solves this problem. And lastly, when you have a congruent funnel, you're building an experience that's seamless. giving your brand the ability to kind of reach into the customer's mind. It's like they're going to feel like their mind is being read, and you are able to deliver exactly what they need in an almost magical, effortless way. What that overall does is it builds more trust, a higher likelihood of people coming back and buying again, and increases your LTV. So on the front end, you're doing things that will reduce your cost to acquire a customer. On the back end, you're increasing LTV. It's the holy grail. Let's dive in a little bit more on why congruency matters. One of these things, we have it right here in the slide, is meet expectations or lose the click. What does that mean? When someone sees your content out in the world, whether it's an ad or an organic piece of creative, there is a set of expectations that they have. They're making assumptions about the brand. They're ingesting the information that you are feeding them about who you are, what you sell, what your offer is, who your products and offers are right for. And then when you make a promise, and you could think of each piece of creative, each ad as a promise that you're making to a potential customer, and then you send them to a page that doesn't reinforce or restate that promise, then you've spent all of that money, time, energy getting that traffic, getting that person to click, and they're not likely to click because there's a disconnect. So meet the expectations, or all of that money that you spent and effort and energy you applied to get that person to come to your website was all for naught. You're always going to get some people to convert. They're just like really in pain. They really want to convert anyway. But for most people, it's they're going to drop off. And this when you're first starting out and when you're initially starting to spend money on ads, you're most likely going after an audience that really knows about you and is familiar with you and probably inclined to buy. I always think of it as a pyramid. Like the top 3% of the market's always kind of ready to rock and ready to purchase. But if you really want to scale, if you want to get from $0 to $1 million, you want to get from $1 million to 10 to 100, and then beyond $100 million, you're having to go acquire customers that are colder and colder. And the only way that you can do that is if you are able to build really great offers that resonate with specific personas, and the offers have to be reinforced. The messaging to the personas have to be reinforced at every step of the way. And if you don't do that, again, you're just not going to be able to scale as much. So you're actually putting a ceiling on the amount of scale and the velocity with how quickly you can scale. And you're not only losing the click, but you're also just kind of artificially reducing your ability to grow. So that's the biggest thing why funnel congruency matters. The next thing is you want to boost conversion rates. Now, we talk a lot about conversion rates over at Replo. If you've talked to any conversion rate optimization person, media buyers, we all love to talk about conversion rates, right? What we found is when you have a congruent funnel versus when you don't have a congruent funnel, and that's talking about ad to landing page to post-purchase, a whole thing. When you look at it from a holistic perspective, when you start to do all these things, we're starting to see a 55% improvement on your conversion rate. Now that is really significant. You're already paying for the traffic. You've paid for the traffic. They get to the website. If your website isn't converting effectively, then that money was lit on fire of the people that didn't convert. The more you can convert people, the more you grow, the faster you grow. And if you have a congruent funnel, you can increase your conversion rates and grow much faster. Now, on the other side, on the ad side specifically, when you have a congruent funnel, when you match your landing page to the content of the ad, to the promise of the ad, to the personas of the ad, you're also allowing your ad platforms to provide you with traffic and customers at a lower cost. You're going to start to see better quality scores on Google when you put in a landing page for a specific ad that matches what that ad is about. You're going to see increased engagement on Meta, so people are sticking around, they're looking at the content, they're clicking, they're going to the checkout, etc. And all of that, when you combine it, lowers your ad costs. So when you put these things together, you're reducing your cost per click, you're reducing your cost to acquire a customer, and you're increasing return on ad spend, your MER, just your overall revenue and profit when you have a congruent funnel. That's why this matters so much. Let's kind of like get out of some of the heady stuff and let's look at a real world example. This is actually something that I have been able to work on directly with one of our customers, Dermatology. They're a 9-figure skincare company. I think they primarily sell a lot of SPF, but this is for their needleless growth factor serum. And we're going to start with the offer, with the ad, which presents an offer to a specific audience. The beautiful part about this ad is inside of it, you can see that they have like the 4 little check boxes. It's like 4 reasons why this product is valuable. Now, when you go to the landing page, the second section right below the fold has 4 reasons why people will love the serum. So even just like the copy from one part of the ad to a specific part of the landing page, that's matched. The content of the ad itself, this is a video, also kind of shows all the value props that are called out on the specific page. And the beautiful part about this is, you know, this ad, obviously you see 2 men as the hero, but it's actually targeted towards women over the age of 45. And when you see all of the other clips inside of that particular ad video, that is reinforced. The targeting is for women over the age of 45. So the first image of a potential user of the product that is shown, you'll see is a woman that is most likely over the age of 45. A lot of times, this is one of the smallest things. People will be trying to target Gen Z folks, but the landing page will have, so they'll be targeting Gen Z folks in the ad, but the landing page will have people that are in their 50s, 60s, 70s, etc., or vice versa. And what happens is you're like, okay, I thought this was for me, but then I got to the landing page and I'm like, whoa, maybe this isn't for me at all. That's not a congruent funnel. A congruent funnel is the content in the ads, so the personas that's being targeted, the way that the copy that's being used, the specific verbiage, the specific language being used to present the offer, to present the value props, that matches what's on the landing page. And then the last step that we haven't touched on yet, your retention flows, your pre and post purchase retention flows, your abandoned cart flows, your post purchase, you're able to segment all these things out. When you're able to zoom out and think about each persona, each audience member, and you're able to craft an experience that matches them to the highest degree possible, you are naturally going to see more conversions, you're going to see more revenue, you're going to see more profit. And what you really have to internalize is that this is not like a one-time job. This is something that you have to do on a going basis. This requires you to build more funnels. This requires you to be more thoughtful about the ads, who they're targeting, etc., and force you to kind of tighten kind of the offers and the audiences that you go after in each one of these funnels, so that you can continuously increase your new customer acquisition. You can improve your retention, you can improve your revenue, improve your profitability. This is not a one-time thing. This is something you have to do over and over and over again. And what we've seen when we tested this with Dermatology is just a kind of a transformative experience. And they've been growing. It's a 9-figure company. They've been growing. But a key to their success in being able to scale to that level so quickly has been their relentless energy applied to funnel congruence. They go so far out of their way, and you can go look at their meta ad library and go click through to the pages that they've created. They built them on Replo, which is pretty dope. But you can actually experience this for yourself, and you can go see like every single time that they target a younger demographic, the content on the landing page also matches a younger demographic. The words that are used match, so the copy also changes, and then on the retention side, you can track, okay, I know in my ad account, this is where this, person came in. So you have, your analytics will show you, oh, this is where the traffic source is. This is the campaign that they came from, or the ad set that they came from. And you can actually tag people as they make a purchase and then split them off into different segments in your USP or your text messaging tool. So when you send them the thank you email after they buy, and when you send them a post-purchase flow after they make a purchase, the content in the emails should also show people, that resemble them. If this is, for men versus women, the thank you email should have a man, showing the product versus a woman. That little thing makes such a big difference. And it seems almost like super basic. But the reality is most brands don't do this, regardless of scale. Most brands don't do this, but the moment that they start doing it, the whole world starts to open up. So I just really encourage you to kind of zoom out and think about what offers you're running, what audiences you're targeting, and try to figure out how can I better match the experience at every step of the way. What are the little things that I can do? What are the copy things? Am I speaking to someone who's a millennial? Are there jokes, verbiage, sentence structures that work better for them versus someone that's a little older, men versus women? All these, there's so many other demographic, psychographic kind of touch points here that you can map to. You just got to figure out what makes sense for your brand, what makes sense for the offers, the audiences that you want to prioritize, and then from there, break out all the different things that you need to be able to build a more congruent funnel. Okay, all right, I've been yapping, but I want to kind of bring it all back. The point of all this, the reason why we build congruent funnels, the reason why we go through the effort, the energy, the expense at times to build a more congruent funnel is you are building more and more trust the more congruent your funnel is. And the more trust you have, the more sales you make. This is super key. The more trust you have, the more sales you make. You're building trust through that alignment. The stories, the copy, the content, the offer that's being presented at every step, as if it's aligned from the ad to the landing page to your post-purchase, your emails, your SMS. The more alignment you have, the more trust you're able to build. That trust parlays into allowing you to have a stronger brand. A stronger brand means people recognize you. They're more likely to buy from you again. They're more likely to tell their friends. All of that results in higher LTV and kind of a halo effect that will eventually reduce your customer acquisition cost over time. With all of those things, what you're really building is you're building a customer acquisition and retention efficiency engine, and you're baking in more profitability into your business every step of the way. The most critical part about any business is profitability. And the simplest thing that you could do in the next 30 hours, literally start a timer, start doing this work. Simplest thing you could do in pursuit of this is building a more congruent funnel. All right, let's actually talk about how we're going to execute this. How do you build a congruent funnel? And I want to reiterate, I've said this a couple times, this part takes work. It's simple work. It's not like it's rocket science, but it is a lift. But 30 hours of dedicated effort here returns geometric growth, not linear, not exponential. We're talking geometric, which is crazy math stacks. I don't know if you've ever seen the geometric expansion stuff. It's big. It's bigger than big. It's faster than fast. You're increasing the velocity with which you scale, and you're increasing the amount of scale that you can achieve when you have a congruent funnel. So let's run through the playbook that we have. First thing, know the personas and the audience segments. You need to know who you are selling to and what makes them tick, how they speak, what they think about, where they congregate. That influences a lot of things, like where you're going to dedicate your ad dollars, the type of creative that you're going to make, the type of influencers that you might enroll to build partnerships. And then once you figure out those personas and audience segments, tailor your messaging to each one of them. And that goes beyond just what you say to them. That also means different offers. Older demographics are much more likely to subscribe longer term to things. Younger demographics are much more likely to do one-time purchase things. That offer structure or the tendency to gravitate to one type of offer versus another, that is part of the tailoring. The reason why you do this is the more relevance you build, the more it resonates, the more likely you are to engage each part of your market segments, each of your market segments. And the more you can do that, the more money you make. It's really not rocket science, but it goes a long way. So know your personas and audience segments. What I really like to do is I just take a piece of paper out and I just start writing down who all I sell to. And then after I do that, I usually do a dump of my customers, or I actually, before I even do that, I might send them a survey to all my customers and say, hey, I want to know a little bit more about you. When's your birthday? So we can send you a free thank you gift, but you're actually trying to understand all your different age segments. Ask them why they buy from you. When you have people that have bought from you multiple times, ask them why they bought the second time or the third time or the 18th time. Ask them if they bought for themselves. You can kind of do some of the stuff in like post-purchase surveys. You can do this like, just send out an email blast or a text message blast to collect this information, but collect all that stuff, and that will allow you to start kind of building all of your audience segments, and then from there you can start tailoring the message for each of those segments. All right, the next thing seems counterintuitive, but I've looked at 100. I look at 100 plus funnels a week, probably a couple thousand funnels a week, and the thing that I constantly see is people don't apply consistency and tone and design to each step of the funnel. So like one ad might be, one color and like certain font, and they go to the landing page, completely different experience, and that's jarring. Like it as a consumer, you'd be surprised. It's like walking into McDonald's, but then thinking you're gonna get a burger and fries, and then they're just slinging pizzas. Like it's just not. It doesn't make sense, right? And you want things to make sense, and you want things to feel like it all fits together. And this goes back to when I was talking about wanting to make this experience feel seamless and simple and efficient. So make sure that every single thing is aligned, and it helps. Like when you're going back and like kind of rebuilding a lot of stuff, it's tougher. But if you're building something net new, you can kind of plan ahead and say, okay, I know I'm going to build this particular funnel for this particular cohort, this particular audience, persona, segment, etc. And then when you're building all of the assets that you're going to use on your ads and your landing pages and your emails, you can kind of plan out, okay, I need to build it, all of these things together, and you can kind of make the design consistent. A lot of times, it's easier to just go build something net new and build a net new congruent funnel versus trying to like retrofit, because unless you're really good and you have a good attention to detail, because things kind of slip in the cracks, and this is one of those things where an attention to detail does matter in my opinion. But just make it feel like it comes from the same place. This comes from the same company. Again, this is like a trust reinforcement thing more than anything. Personalize where you can. So this is like could be as simple as on the post purchase email, putting their name in the email. Like, wow, more merge tags, what a revolutionary concept. But this goes beyond that. So if you have a new customer versus returning customer, the ads that you show them, the offers that you give them, those should be different. If you have a returning customer that's only ever bought twice versus a returning customer that's bought 30 times or 25 times or whatever, you want to treat those people differently too. You want to roll out the red carpet, give them some sort of VIP access, give them early access to products, give them other offers that regular customers can't get. Like, you want to make sure that you are tailoring your experience, that's that word, tailoring again, as much as you can. And there's a bunch of like really interesting technology things you can do, like updating your landing page to pull in a person's name. So what they're seeing, like they're seeing their own name when they click on like an email going to a landing page or an ad going to a landing page. It could be the specific offers that you show them. There are a lot of really cool apps that will allow you to dynamically show offers or products based on what their previous purchase and browsing history is. So all of these little things help build a more congruent funnel because you're trying to personalize as much as possible. And then lastly, speed and simplicity unlock scale. So speed, that's just fast load times. Make sure that you're not, pushing so much volume in your website where they're going to have so speed and simplicity unlock scale. Make sure that you're not bloating your landing pages with a ton of like really big graphics and like embedding a ton of videos that aren't hosted elsewhere. So lazy load images below the fold. Make sure that your images are in the hundreds of kilobytes, not in the tens of megabytes. From a file size perspective, if you're embedding any video content, do things like embed a TikTok or a YouTube player versus dropping it directly into your page. Just really bloats your page. And then make sure stuff is mobile friendly. And more critically, make sure your designs are mobile first. Build for mobile. Most of traffic is coming from mobile. Most of conversions are happening on mobile. It's 2025. 2026, 2020, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what year it is. We're long past the point where people buy primarily on desktop. People primarily buy on mobile, and make sure that you have a mobile first great design. It works well across device sizes, different phone types, and operating systems and browsers. But that's really key. All right, some of the touch points I'm going to rattle through that are worth optimizing. Different product launches and drops. It could be like who you give these things to. It could be the way that you frame the offers. It could be the. I'm just gonna fucking kill this slide. All right, to kind of wrap it up, how to make funnel congruency happen for your brand. This is where you should take all the notes. The first thing, audit your funnel, look at your customer journey, like literally click on your own ads. Ask yourself if the landing page really matches the experience that or the promise or the offer that you had in the ads. If you're driving directly to a PDP or a homepage and you're not selling apparel, you might want to reconsider that. Like start building landing pages, and then find quick wins. A lot of funnel congruency optimization stuff happens in like 5 minutes. So it's like, oh, I'm sending traffic. My offer is to lose weight fast or something, and I'm sending them to get more energy landing page. That's a headline swap. That takes 30 seconds to change the copy to match that, right? So it could be small wins like that. Try to find those first, but try to go through every part of your funnel and go through all of your funnel. So that's ad to landing page to your email flows associated with it, and just kind of understand what that map is and figure out like where some of the opportunities are. Next, you want to implement and test things. You've written down all the places you want to make congruent. Start building those things. And then make sure the tracking and reporting set up. So if you can set up things on quickly in the front end to ensure that every piece of this matches, and you're able to kind of measure that really effectively on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis, you are going to win. A lot of times people do things and they just kind of like never look at it. Don't be those people. You want to scale. You want to grow as fast as possible, and you want to grow as much as possible. Measure what you do. Measure the changes that you make. And get really, really granular about it. You're measuring on an ad or an ad set level basis at times. And make sure that you understand how these funnels are packaged together. Next thing, leverage tools for ease. This is like where we live in the AI age now. Everything is AI. One of the things that I would recommend you do is analyze the data and your funnel specifically to try to identify opportunities for funnel congruence. And the way that I would do this, I would screenshot the ads and landing pages they go to, and then ask like what the mismatch might be and areas of improvement. And any AI system is going to be able to tell you like, yo, here are some ideas. So if you're kind of lost on like how do I kind of make things congruent or how congruent am I, use AI to fucking use AI. If you're trying to figure out like if you're trying to figure out how to if you're lost on how to use AI. Or if you're lost on how to create funnel congruence, and you don't really know exactly what to do, what you're able to use AI, leverage AI, and have it help you see what you might be missing. So you're not having to kind of spin your wheels trying to figure out where do I go to like make my funnel more congruent. And then on the execution side, use tools like Replo that can allow you to duplicate pages, make things really make changes really quickly, swap out imagery, text, etc. Find a set of tools that can allow you to actually change what's on your website quickly, so that you can actually make your funnel more congruent, and you can unlock all the scale that you really need. All right, right at the end, we're gonna land this plane. Don't forget, funnel congruency is about respecting your customer. You want to treat them like a human being. You want to treat them like someone that is willing to give up their time, energy, and money to potentially transact with you. That is a noble thing, and you should hold that up to a high standard. You want to make sure each and every single person has the most one-to-one experience that they can. Treat them with respect, and when you start treating that journey with respect, good things start to happen. Cost per acquisition goes down, ROAS goes up, revenue goes up, profitability goes up. That's what you want, and it starts with respecting your customer journey and respecting your customers. And the final thing that I'll say is every small optimization when you are working through funnel congruency is highly levered. What you put in, you get a ton more out. So the ROI on this is massive. So even if you're only putting in 15 minutes, you're doing one small change. over time, and the more you stack those wins, you are creating an engine for growth that you cannot replicate the ROI of having a congruent funnel. It's really, really hard. And if you take anything away from this, I just want you to know funnel congruency, it's simple work. It's hard work because sometimes it's just a lot, just more work to do, building all these things. But it is one of the most rewarding and sometimes really fun things that you could do. And I guarantee you that it will help you make more money. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you'd like to try Replo for free, you can do so at replo.app. Thank you so much for watching.